What's the dealio, Ravi?
Hey, RK, what's up? What's up? Literally. I mean, I know everyone is talking about Russia, Ukraine.
Yeah.
So let's skip that and let
Absolutely.
people make their own minds.
Yeah.
But what's up?
You know, the last time we spoke, the James Webb telescope was about to be launched in about 3 hours or something.
Right. And
At
you
the
even,
time of,
yes.
recording.
You
Yeah.
made where you actually saw the launch and you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I saw the launch. It was beautiful. The Ariane 5 space launch vehicle had launched it so perfectly that it basically extended the life of the James Webb telescope by about a decade.
Wow.
So the plan always was that you would launch it, and then the James Webb telescope, which has its own engines, would be used for course correction and finally go and settle in that L2 orbit. It's that basically orbits nothing orbit, right? So it just stays over there.
Yeah. Right. L2
orbit. But the Ariane 5 inserted it so precisely that there was no need for any correction burn. The initial burn that was done so precisely put it in that orbit.
Okay,
very
let
precisely.
me ask you a question which I saw on Twitter. So there is this conspiracy theorist saying that you can't burn fuel in space, and so space rockets are all like fiction.
I have no. So the third law of I think the third law of
thermodynamics.
Newton's third law.
Oh, Newton's third.
Law, which is basically
equal and opposite reaction.
Equal and opposite reaction. Is applicable everywhere. I think that's one of the most fundamental things about.
So I think what they're saying is lack of oxygen, right?
No, but we carry our own oxygen. We carry our own oxygen. I think the misconception over here is that because you don't have anything to push against, how is it?
Oh, is that what they are saying?
That's what they're saying.
I think it was lack of oxygen. Oh, okay.
No. We carry our own oxygen.
Right. So that's simple, right?
Yeah. So there are two kinds of engines. We know that. There is the jet engine that basically processes the air. That's what the huge turbines are for. That's
which
for
we see in even our planes and
in
all.
our planes, your aircraft and anything.
Correct.
But rockets necessarily have to carry their own oxidizers, which is it can be pure oxygen. SpaceX and a lot of the upper stage. No, not the upper stage. I'm sorry. The space shuttle also used liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen. SpaceX uses kerosene and liquid oxygen.
Wow.
The upper stage of the ISRO, the GSLV-3, also uses liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen. So it's all so that's the oxidizer. Generally speaking, oxidizer is it can come in various forms.
Sure.
I think potassium permanganate is one more oxidizer. Yeah.
Wow.
Your crackers, right? Did you know that your crackers can work in space?
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it basically has its own oxygen built into the fuel, so it'll work. Yeah, it has its own oxygen to burn.
Right. Very cool. Yeah.
So I feel that the conspiracy theory is in two folds. One, there are people who believe that there is no oxygen,
so there's no burning.
That's not the case, because
you just carry it.
You carry your own oxidizer. And the one that I've heard is that it cannot work in space because there is nothing to push against. But that's not true.
Yeah, I think that's
because
just
every Newton's third law actually holds. And what I was about to say earlier is that one of the most fundamental principles of physics is that the physics is the same everywhere in the universe.
Right.
The speed of light, if you measure it on Earth, would be the same. If you measure it some 2000 light years away, it would still be the same.
Sure.
That's what they say.
Sure.
But coming back to the James Webb update, I think it's right now parked in L2 orbit. It has a very long life in front of it, meaning a lot of science and everything can be done. But I think the first photos itself would be, I think.
Why haven't we received these photos yet?
Not yet. I mean, because we're still calibrating those mirrors, right? So we have those mirrors on the James Webb telescope. One of the lessons that came out of the Hubble Space Telescope was that if there is an error in the mirror, in the primary mirror, the only way you could correct that was to send a mission to space and then have some correction optics installed and then finally correct it like that. But that option is not there with James Webb because it's so far away. There is no mission that we can do that can fix it. So I think one of the things that we have done is to have these very precise electronics. It's not electronics and some mechanical things that can adjust the mirrors down to like the size of an atom or something like that. So right now the mirror calibration is going on in James Webb. So the mirror calibration is the one that will focus all of the light the James Webb receives onto a single point. And from that single point we'll sort of start building the pictures and all those.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, another article
and
I read.
How long is this expected? This so it reached L2 and then started this process,
and
right?
then it started this process. Actually, the first process that it started was to first align itself. Right? I mean, if you're in space, you don't know what's up or what's down.
Sure.
The only thing that you can use is stars.
Correct.
To say, okay, this will be my guiding star from now onwards. No
Which is so strange because that's what our metaphors are. You're my guiding star.
Guiding star.
Yeah. So it's going to align with respect.
It has already done that.
With respect to some stars.
To some star. And so basically the James Webb knows in which direction it is looking at.
Right.
That guiding star is very important for it to know where it is looking at, in which direction it is, and all of those things. So that's already done, and now the mirror alignment is happening.
Okay.
So even when it was launched, it was. I mean, we knew that it would take about 6 months for it to be ready when it reached the L2 point and.
6 more months. Wow.
No, not 6 more months.
Totally 6 months.
I think we are already 2.5 months down the.
Sure. Yes,
so the first images, the first science that we'll get out of James Webb is at least about 3 months away. I would say.
Right.
Very interestingly, I read an article saying that the James Webb could be used to detect life on other planets. And the way it would do it is by focusing on exoplanets being
outside our Milky Way.
Of our solar system. The solar system is part of the Milky Way.
Correct.
So it would
outside Milky Way will become too far.
No, it cannot.
Outside solar system.
Yeah, we don't have that much resolution.
Sure.
I don't think so, at least. But anyways, it would basically look at exoplanets. And the idea was that it would look at if there is any pollution on those planets.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not. I don't
assuming that life will always pollute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Life will always pollute. But will life always originate? I think that's the question. I had a very interesting conversation with my daughter of all this. And she was asking me what an attractor was. You remember we did the Barnsley fern?
Correct.
Right? The Barnsley fern, we have a set of these initial equations. Right?
Correct.
And you have those weird numbers that Michael Barnsley had come up with.
Correct.
So not just the Barnsley fern, we also did the... we
Yeah.
did so many fractals also, right?
Right.
In one of the fractals, I forget the name of the episode. But we basically chose random sides, and when you start plotting the dots, the Sierpinski triangle sort of arises from that.
Correct.
Those are called as attractors. And what happens is, so what are attractors? So you take any iterated function system, any iterated function. In our case, the Michael Barnsley thing, right? So by iteration, I mean from whatever was the previous result, you plug that into the current equation, get the result, take that and put it in the next one. So basically, it's just an iteration.
Okay.
You have an initial set of conditions, and if you do this iteration and you plot it in a graph, that shape always arises. No matter what you do, that shape will always come, no matter what your starting condition is. Even if it is completely chaotic and even if it is completely random, those shapes are always arising. That's called as an attractor. That shape by itself is called as an attractor. Did you know about the fundamental constants of the universe?
Okay.
The speed of light, for example, is constant everywhere in the universe.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's about 3 lakh kilometers per
second.
second.
And who is that? Johannes Kepler. Kepler has a constant, right?
Kepler's constant. I don't know the exact value. But
there
is Kepler's. There is the electron degenerations, the pressure. Or
so
something
this
like
one
that.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's the one that basically ensures that when you put your hand on a table or something, it just doesn't pass through.
Oh,
or you
okay.
don't fall through the.
Right.
I mean, yeah. So there is.
Okay.
So you're not actually touching anything when
Okay.
you touch or when you walk or something. You're not actually touching the ground.
Right.
It's the. I think it's the repulsion between the electrons in these,
which you are feeling,
which basically is holding you up. Essentially. And all of these things are actually dependent on some very fine constants or very precise constants. And there are some 20 or odd universal constants.
Okay.
Which sort of leads people to believe that this is a very fine-tuned universe.
Sure.
Right? And see, just like how we had an initial, with the Barnsley fern, we had a set of these initial numbers. How Michael Barnsley came up with these numbers, I don't know. Or even for that matter, how somebody came up with that chaos theory, we don't know. But those shapes are always arising no matter what the starting condition is. So in a fine-tuned universe, you take these 20 or odd, fine-tuned numbers.
Okay.
I'm stating, me and my daughter came to the conclusion that no matter what the starting condition was, life would have always arisen. Life would always arise given these fine-tuned constants that we have in the universe. I think that was a very interesting discussion that I was having because she was trying to, tie mathematics with biology.
Exactly, which is my question. Where did biology enter this whole? I mean,
I think life was always supposed to originate, and that's sort of.
And you're saying that there's. So if you say that, so there was matter, and so there was earth as we know it. There was maybe water and so on, but still, for that, these constants somehow played a role in that or single cell organism arising.
No, not these constants don't cause life to happen. But these constants are built in these constants in a way that life will always arise no matter what happens. These constants probably did not have like a direct effect on creating
cause
life.
and effect. It's not there.
It's not there. But it's just that because of these constants, water would always look like this. Chemicals would always bond in a certain way. Molecules would always be formed in this way and that way. Fat would always, fat molecules would always sort of seek to create the least area with the highest, with the lowest energy. Basically, we'll go to their lowest energy points, and which is why bubbles form. And cellular walls are actually essentially just fat bubbles for that matter. And that very causes life. Very good. So I think the point that I was trying to make is that Earth is, if you have
intelligent design,
not intelligent design, but the point I was trying to make is that we might not be the only life over here.
In the universe, you're saying?
In the universe. There definitely is other life. Although, as more time passes on, I sort of feel that we are the earliest intelligent civilizations that has risen. Because number one, we haven't heard from anybody, from any other life.
Right.
Which means either, given the previous statement that we've made that life will always arise, there might be life, but right now there might be dinosaurs. There might be at the same stage as where dinosaurs were.
Got it. Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Right.
Sure. And so this because you brought up this attractor and fact that attraction repulsion at some level is permeating through life. Is that so? That's so. What I want to say. What I want to say here is so Krishna, the Hindu god is Krishna itself means attraction, right? So you're talking, and I was always So there are two forms, and I know this is totally going on a segue, but there are two thought processes, right? One is saying that yes, there is Krishna as a person did exist, and he was there in this Gujarat, he was born, he went to UP, and all this happened. The second thing is whether they are manifestations of universal laws, right? And I wonder if the way we are giving so much importance to Krishna is that that attraction to so it's chaos and order, right? So like you mentioned, any chaotic start because of this fundamental equations does lead to order, right?
Yes.
Barnsley fun is an order.
Is definitely an order.
Order,
yes,
right?
Yes.
So this attraction quality of the, and you're saying this is existing in the universe, right?
Yes.
So did they mean that this? Did they talk about Krishna as a manifestation of this attraction quality, where matter, is attracted into certain forms and so on?
I would say it's a very tenuous connection, but the attraction, but the attractors, the mathematical term attractor, is sort of a misnomer, I would say. And the reason,
why would you say that?
No, I mean, so the thing is, I mean, let's go back to the Barnsley fund. Those
Correct.
equations, if they are iterated over and over again,
Right.
and if we choose the functions completely randomly also, in a chaotic pattern, they would always settle into that Barnsley fund.
Exactly. So
right?
that's what I thought they meant by an attractor.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So
I
they
think
attract
into that
shape.
Yeah, I think we are on the same page then. Okay. Could you say that again? So how do you tie?
So Krishna itself means attraction. Krishna is the akarshan, is the force that attracts, right? And suppose we take away the manifest part, the person aspect, if attraction is a very universally a principle that exists universally, which what it serves is, if there is just chaos, then so universe is a mix of chaos and order, right? And so the ordering principle becomes Krishna, is what I'm saying, is the attraction. So there is chaos overall, and then there is also, because of these equations, which I say are laws, which then take some of the chaos and brings out order from them. It could be tenuous. I'm not defending this.
I'm going to go in a different direction.
Go ahead.
But in the same lines, what I'm going to say, or what I'm going to propose, is that sometimes these equations break. All right? In this whole chaotic universe, sometimes this universe breaks, and I think whatever permeating God is there in the universe, he takes a form, and he comes and he wants to set things right, pull it in the right direction. Because the way you're explaining it seems to me that he's also a part of the equation. But I'm trying to say, what I'm proposing is that he's not part of the equation, he's outside of the equation. And he comes and fixes the errors that are happening in the system.
And how does he do that without? So what I'm saying is he
gave like basically whatever the Bhagavad Gita, for example, he gave that.
No. So I'm
trying to say that he was there to fix certain errors that were happening in the.
So I mean, so what I'm saying is I'm not going into the personalized aspect of Krishna at all. So I'm just saying, I'm not getting into the debate whether there was a person, he came, he existed, he gave the Bhagavad Gita, maybe, may not be. I'm not going into that at all. What I'm saying is the fundamental laws are personified, are told. So, for example, Shiva, right? So, Shiva, people think of as some hermit sitting in the Himalayas, right? They personify that, but that's not. And Shiva, like you said, is there throughout the universe, and whether then maybe you can so what I'm always trying to do is these Hindu stories, mythological stories that we have, I'm trying to see if they can be modern science and what the stories are, if we can find some connection. So for example, they keep talking about Shiva and Shakti, right? And then we know that dark matter and dark energy permeate so much of the universe, right? So some dark matter is less, around 30, and dark energy is some 63. So the known the matter universe part of the universe is some 7%, or maybe I'm wrong.
No, it's I
something
think the
very
matter
small.
universe is about 2%.
2%.
The dark matter or the stuff that holds the galaxies apparently is about 20 to 30%, and about 85% of it
is dark energy.
Is dark energy.
Right. So exactly. So what I think is when they talk about Shiva and Shakti, I'm not saying there is. I'm just trying to see if there is some connection in. I'm positing that these Indian rishis and all knew about dark matter, dark energy, the composition of the universe, and they talked about it in terms of what people can relate. There is some Shiva principle, right? Which like you say, what did you say, that holds together the galaxies?
Yeah, so the dark matter, so the way we found dark matter was you take a galaxy and you measure its spin. If you account for all of the matter in the galaxy, it should be spinning at x. It should only be spinning at x rate. What they found was that it was spinning at x plus y rate, or it was spinning too fast to basically account for gravity. I mean, gravity could not have held that galaxy together if it was spinning that fast.
Right.
That's how they came to figure out that there is something else that we cannot see. That is basically forming the bulk of these. So if like a tip of the iceberg looks only this much, but like the 90% of it is under the ocean. Just like, so the visible part of the galaxy is only this much, but the invisible part of the galaxy is so vast that it's it's mind-boggling.
Got it.
I mean, I think that was I think that's what dark matter is essentially. You want to hear something more interesting? So there is something called as the flatness of the universe. Okay, so you understand space-time, let's just talk about space and let's say you have just the Earth over there. So if you place Earth in space, the space-time around it. I mean, let's think about space-time as some kind of very magical three-dimensional carpet that you have.
Correct.
And you drop the Earth on it.
Correct.
All right?
So
it's going to
curves.
pull down. It's going to curve down this thing.
Yes.
All right. So in a similar way, that how Earth is sort of pulling down on that carpet, there has to be some force that is pulling out so that the carpet can be flat. You understand?
But why does the carpet need to be flat?
No, I'm just saying that if you pull on the carpet, right? I mean, it will basically
come up.
Yeah, it will come up, right? It'll sort of come up. So you now understand how this carpet is either flat or not flat. If it is not flat, it means it's sort of sinking down. There is like a curvature over here.
Right.
And if you sort of pull out, then it can be flat. So flatness can either be 0, it can be 1, or it can be -1. If it is -1, it means gravity is winning. You understand, right? Just think of these three things. If it is perfectly level, it means it's at 0.
Okay.
If my pulling power is winning, right? That means it will be the Earth will be thrown off or something like that. So that's 1. But if the Earth's gravity is winning, then it means it's -1. So there are 3 states that the universe can be, or the flatness of the universe can be. So I think in 2003 we sort of measured the flatness, and I think to our utter shockness we found that it's basically 0. The universe is essentially flat, and the way that works, the way we had thought that because dark energy is essentially winning right now, all the galaxies are flying away from each other. Dark energy seems to be winning. They're flying away from each other at an increasing rate also.
Right.
So we know that dark energy exists. So that's sort of pulling the universe apart. And gravity is also sort of, keeping everything together. So we would have thought that gravity was actually losing. But to our shock, we found that space is essentially flat. Now, what are the implications of this? We don't know. But both of these forces, for some reason, seem to be in complete balance with each other right now.
So are you saying that there is no curvature actually?
Yeah, there is no curvature in space, basically. I mean, overall, I mean, at a local level, there is curvature. At a local level, there is curvature. But if you look at the entire galaxy as a whole, it turns out there is
there is some case for balance.
Happening. There's some, exactly, a case for balance. Shiva was balanced with Shakti and all of those things.
No, I don't. Okay. Okay, if you're coming back to that, then I was thinking Shiva is equivalent to dark matter and Shakti, like Shakti, right? Energy. It's a very simple connection to make. And so I was always thinking about, if Shiva Shakti can be correlated to dark matter, is there some correlation in terms of what the ancients talk about and what modern science says? And Krishna is, I was also wondering, so is there, Krishna, is there some connection to something more universal than just a person existing to do Bhagavad Gita? I'm not saying that there is not, so I don't want to get it, but more universe, talking about universal laws, right? More not universal laws as in physics universal laws. So I was wondering if this whole aspect of creating order from chaos is a part of the Krishna's ambit, right?
Okay.
There is chaos, and from there you need attractors to form. Otherwise, everything is chaos. But the basis is chaos. And then how do forms come about? How do forms, right? Forms, as we know, come about. So I was thinking maybe I just thought that maybe this attractor could be, but long segue.
Long sideway. Long sideway. So getting back to that James Webb and it discovering life. I mean, a possibility of it sort of discovering life. Did you hear about those UFO incidences? I mean, you know what UFOs are, right? But they're called UAPs now. I think unidentified aerial phenomenon. For some reason, the terminology has now changed. It's no longer UFOs, apparently.
But the mainstream still, it's UFO.
No, the mainstream has now, I mean, the mainstream will go where
fiction goes, right?
No, not fiction. The mainstream will go where, I would say, whoever is the decision authority asks it to go. So right now, the term to use is UAPs. Unidentified aerial phenomenon. So did you hear about the
nothing of late.
I think it's called the Nimitz Incident.
Oh no.
So 2 incidences happened on either side of the United States coast. One, I think, near to California, and the other one on the Atlantic Ocean, somewhere at the Washington coast or somewhere. And there is a clear-cut video of a UFO. You know that?
No. What you're saying is one on the UK side.
No. The US. This happened in the US, or this was recorded by the US Navy.
No, you said both sides of the Atlantic.
No, both sides of the United States.
United States.
Continental United States.
Okay.
Similar incidences were basically recorded by 2 different ships. I think one of them was called as the USS Nimitz Nimitz. And what they found, so I think there were a bunch of American pilots who were sort of patrolling whatever area or training or whatever exercise. And they were asked to go to a place because the radar operator back on the ship themselves were spotting something that they should not have spotted. Basically, I think they were saying that we are seeing these crafts that just come and then they take off at a very rapid speed. They just basically go back to space and all of those things. I'd encourage you to actually look that up. It's a very interesting thing. And they basically gave chase to when they were asked to go to that place, they did find something. The pilots did find something. There are multiple pilots who saw the same thing. And they captured the infrared and we have basically tapes. And this happened in 2004. I think this was leaked in 2018. And when it was leaked, I think in 2019, the US government, which is very famous for sort of, at least in the conspiracy theory circle, that the United States government is sort of hiding something.
Correct.
Even they sort of said, we don't know what this is. We'll release all of this to the general public and some more. If you can tell us what it is.
Sure.
So so there's some very clear-cut videos of these pilots chasing what appear to be unidentified aerial phenomenon. And what the pilots were saying was that their movement was like very weird. If these crafts wanted to, they would just sort of zip out of their eyesight, go elsewhere, and they did not appear to be heating up. They did not appear to have any engines. No exhaust was coming out, and they were actively jamming their own radar. So aircraft come with these radars, and it's possible for these radar to sort of lock onto an object. Lock on, meaning, so that big nose that fighter aircrafts and actually a lot of aircrafts have. So they have the ability to swivel, right? And these things were like, if you say, okay, I'm seeing something over here, lock on to that thing, they can just swivel and just lock on over there. And if you cannot get a lock onto that particular object or anything, which means they're actively jamming your this thing. They're sending out some signals from their end that is stopping your lock from happening. So they were saying that it could not have been possible for us to not lock onto that object unless they were actively jamming it.
Got it.
So some pretty interesting videos came out of that. It's sort of and that sort of leads me into a segue. I don't think they are visitors from another planet at all.
What do you think they are?
What is your some kind of terrestrial phenomenon, or just these bunch of pilots who have sort of mistaken a completely what do you say, plausible, a completely normal phenomenon into something that really wasn't there.
Sure.
It's all out there, but I doubt very much that these are visitors from another planet. I have two reasons. One is I think we are pretty much very early in the universe. The universe is 13.4 billion years old. But everything that makes up you or makes up life, makes up you and me, right? It needs time to be formed. And what I say makes up you and me is basically the chemical elements, the elements that are needed to be needed to create life. They take time. So you need to have the first generation of stars be born, explode, throw out their waste out there in the universe, the second generation to come up, and after that only life can arrive. Right? So 13.4 billion years. Out of that, life itself is, I think, 2 billion years old. So life arose 11 after the creation of the universe, 11 billion years. The thing is, life could not have formed before that. Right?
Got it.
So there is no civilization or intelligence that was born in the very first, as soon as the universe was made. Within the first 1 or 2 billion years. You had to wait at least, I would say, 10 billion years before you had all the chemistry necessary to create life. Is what I think. Right? And so by that marker, I think we are the first ones right out of the gate. Not only has life generated over here, we've also had like a destruction of the entire we've also had some very important milestones. Like, I think there were dinosaurs and then they died, which sort of led to the rise of mammals, and mammals ultimately led to the evolution of humans and all those things. So that very important step happened. So we've had everything right happen for us on this planet. The same cannot be said elsewhere, right? So as a civilization, we might really be the earliest. Really, we might have sort of come really early. So there's also another reason why I think they cannot be visitors from another planet. You want to hear why? So the space-time, the aforementioned space-time that I was talking about. So you have so this is called as the space-time continuum. Right. We call it that.
Correct.
But do you know why it's called space-time? Because I think what Einstein realized was that space and time were indeed the same thing. Just think about this question that I'm going to ask you. How far away is your house from here?
Say half a kilometer.
Half a kilometer. Can you use any other term to describe how far away your home is? Or
sure, it's like 10 minutes by walk.
Why did you use both space and time into your own
But that's because we are used to that.
That's because we are used to that. And I think very coincidentally, it's basically the same thing. Space and time are essentially the same thing. That's what he realized. I'll ask you another question. What is your speed in space-time right now? Okay. Before we even ask that, what is the speed of light? It's about that 3 lakh kilometers. But there is a symbol that is, what is that symbol? C, man.
C. Correct.
Yeah. E is equal to MC square. The
C. Correct.
Yeah.
C.
That's C. Alright, so just keep that in mind.
Correct.
What's your speed through space-time? I'm not saying space, space-time right now.
No.
It's always C. We are all cruising through space-time at the speed of C all the time.
Okay, this is, I don't understand this.
No, it's not. It's not weird. The thing is, your motion is either through space or through time.
Okay.
You are actually traversing through time.
Correct.
At 1 second per second right now.
Correct.
That's you are basically traversing through time.
Correct.
Your speed through space is actually 0.
Correct.
Now the speed through space and the speed through time should always be C. That's the fundamental law of the universe. That's what Einstein's general theory of relativity says. I think the special theory of relativity states that everything is basically moving at C. However, if you start moving then the speed of light, then the other component, right, will automatically shrink down in such a way that your speed through space-time is always C. So if you increase the speed in one, the speed in the other would always decrease. Have you heard of the twin paradox in space-time? I mean, you must have heard it, right?
No.
So the theory states that you have twins, one who remains back on Earth and the other travels through space. At a very high speed, and then he comes back.
Got it.
When he comes back, he would be more or less the same age, but his twin brother would have aged. And the reason for that is because the brother who traveled, his equation changed. That S plus T.
Yes.
His S increased. So the universe will compensate so that his time, the way he experiences time, would basically reduce. Now this is not to say that he would see things slowing down.
Right.
He would also measure 1 second as exactly 1 second, like tick 1.
Right.
He would also measure it exactly like that. But for him, time will basically go very slow. Now, so that's one part of this whole equation, where if you travel at a very high speed through space, you will experience time in a lower, at a lower rate than the other person. Or I'll give you another example. Let's say, for example, we are living in some kind of futuristic society where we can travel to Mars at the speed of light and everything. And you've just come to visit me from Mars, right? And we are having a drink or something, and you say, "Oh, hold on, I forgot my stuff at Mars." So you hop onto your spacecraft and you zip at the speed of light, then you come back. All right, and for you, maybe it was only 2 seconds, but for me, it was I think it was 15 minutes. You were gone for about half an hour. I would see that you were gone for half an hour, but for you would say, no, I was only gone 2 seconds. But you would.
But so how can I be gone only? I would feel that I am gone for 2 seconds.
For 2 seconds, yeah. I mean, basically, time would run in exactly the same way for you as for me. You would experience only 2 seconds, but I would have seen you gone for about 30 minutes, because you would take 15 minutes to go there. And
is that the time between distance?
I think it's 15
Is that
minutes.
the distance?
Yeah, that's the distance. It's about 15 light minutes.
Right. From Mars, is it?
From Mars, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that's how basically space-time works. If your speed through space and the speed through time should always be c, will always be c. If you increase one artificially by going in a spacecraft, accelerating at a huge speed, the other one would reduce so that your speed through space-time would always be c. I think that's the implication of the special theory of relativity that Einstein came up with. Very startling revelation, and in 1914 that too he came up with this one.
And again, coming back, a slight sidebar to this is that people debunk astrology very easily, but I say that space-time, curvature of space-time depends on the mass of that object, right? So Earth does it, then Jupiter is bending space-time much more, right?
Yes.
And Mercury much less, right? So when people say that, and we know that light, when it travels through space-time, it will bend, it will go along the the surface, the space-time surface. So it will bend where there is where there are larger bends, it will go along that and come out and so on, right? So I don't think that so people debunk a lot with this idea, what is that planet out there, what is it affecting? So even if you leave out the predictional parts of it, I want to say that there is light, and that light which is reaching you is reaching from different places, and that light is being bent to less or more degrees by the curvature of space-time. And so earlier I used to think that this is just a symbolic thing. There is an object in space which is symbolically telling that, okay, this was the position when this guy was born. Jupiter was there. And that's all it is. It's a symbolism. And some astrologers also say that. But I think that there is little more than that, because there is space-time and because different objects are curving space-time more than others. So if they say that Jupiter is curving it more and it's causing some effect on you, we are just not sure about that effect part. I think it's actually physically curving light and bringing it in some form. And so we are not yet at the level to maybe understand that these are actually affecting us. So much of my point is so much of us we don't see so much of things which just because are not observable by our eyes, we seem to disregard, but which is not really, which science slowly tells us that it is possible. This is like this. This is like this. There is dark matter, which is inferential, right? Dark matter is by definition dark.
It's by not definition to be dark, and you can't
see
it. Our sensors can't pick it.
Exactly, right? So you have to infer it, but it is there. Just because there is no other way. Undeniably, right? I think there is something more to ancient science than just symbolism.
So this astrology thing, right? So I have a different take on it. I've always seen astrology as a way to predict the future. I mean, that's what basically it is, and I'll tell you how.
Although, before you complete, I don't think it's just that. There is a predictional part in astrology, but there is also this part of characterization. So many people, if you in your corporate career, they'll take this assessment and it'll find you're this kind of a person. And if you want to work with X kind of person, then you do this and that and that. I think it's the same. Natal horoscope.
I'm only adding on to that. So I think as human beings, we've always been sort of very anxious about the future or what the future holds. I think it's in our very nature to sort of seek what is going to happen in the future. Right? We run financial calculations for up to 2035. Yeah, we run batch jobs in my real world jobs. In my real world job, we have batch processes that run that do that attempt to do financial prediction up to 2035. Every day it goes one day ahead in 2035. What is the difference between that and astrology? Right? I mean, this is just. I mean, we are just basically predicting that this is how the market will go, and that's how that we have to invest here and there and all of those things, right?
Correct.
Every attempt, every motivational speaker will always speak about what's going to happen in the future. They're always in the business of predicting how it will be in the future. The future will not be money; it will only be bitcoins and all of those things. We are always in the business of predicting what will happen in the future. So that at the present, we can invest in those things and go in that direction. I think astrology is basically, I would say, it's an ancient exercise in that, which I would say is an exercise in that, and therefore they use the only tools that they had to basically classify so and so things into these buckets, and they can say, okay, if you are over here, then for sure you will, you will do these things, right? I mean, at least that's the way I see it. I'm not totally against, debunking this. How can Jupiter have any effect on me or anything like that? Because it does have an effect. Science tells you that it has an effect on you, and the reason for that is because. I think we spoke about it in an earlier episode. Gravity is one of those forces, right? Where it is very weak, but it's very. I mean, it can go up to even the other side of the universe. Right. It is never zero. It is negligible, but it's never zero. Right. It's like that only. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's not like that. The sense it's so no. So you again, what I want to say is it's not purely symbolic.
It's not.
Or I might be wrong here. I'm not saying it is right. But what I want to say is that this part of space-time, which is why I'm saying this space-time and the curvature and that light bends at these places is the reason why I'm saying that it could be something more than pure symbolism. I mean, for pure symbolism, why only look at planets, right, or the sky? Pure symbolism. So the whole occult reading of omens, and some people predict using omens, like you're saying, right? Oh, this is this happened, so or Groundhog Day, right? So all these things are omen reading, and it is a way of predicting, which is sure, right? So I'm agreed with that, but I think that there could be more. There could be more to these mythologies that we have of, or I want to believe. Maybe I want to believe, and I want to pursue this, that Shiva Shakti represent dark matter, dark energy. What if, or could it be possible that these represent? And B, what if astrology is actually more scientific than we give it?
Then we give it
one is the scientific of symbolism. Just use them as symbols and do prediction, which, like you said, right? And that's also scientific in its own way. But what I want to say is, C is if there is some actual. Jyotish means light, right? Jyoti. It's the science of light. So what is it that they knew about light that we are probably not fully cognizant of? And we know we exist in this earth, which is light, right? There is light and there is darkness. We go out in this light. There are so we don't see UV light, but it is falling upon us, right?
Yeah, of course. So of course.
I think there is more to actual science than we give astrology credit for.
Yeah. Hey, so we've already taken a sidebar from that space time.
Yes.
Another little bit of a sidebar.
Okay.
Have you ever had Google actually predict what you are thinking and then show up something that you were thinking of?
without even spoken.
Without even speaking of it, you have not spoken to anybody, you have not voiced it out. But have you ever had that? Like a song or something. Have you ever had that?
I don't think so.
I have had that. I've had that happen for more times for me to just brush it off as coincidence. It could be something really weird, like, okay, what is this guy's birthday? And then somewhere in the search results there would be, or somewhere when I'm searching for it, it would appear. Not magically, of course. What I'm thinking is happening is whatever AI is running Google, it sort of has this classification happened. Okay, these similar age group of people who have these habits are probably thinking of this right now. So here is an advertisement for
possible,
or something like that.
Okay,
so that,
but
okay, accurate. It can sometimes get shockingly accurate. Like it could be a song that I was thinking of, and that song would come in my YouTube feed and all.
That is very, very specific.
Yeah, that's very. Seriously. I mean,
I would feel that you would have just spoken it out loud and. It picked it up because I don't think we are at that level of AI where it.
So I think we've all suspected that Google is always listening to us.
Always listening.
I've had
there's no doubt.
The one time when I was like, for sure they are listening to us is I had broken my belt. I was leaving for office. I had broken my belt, and I was telling my wife that, hey, I have to buy a new belt. And every newspaper, every news article I was reading. Belt advertisement.
there's no like conspiracy to it.
There is no conspiracy to it. It is definitely happening.
And it's listening to WhatsApp conversations. I made a WhatsApp call to a friend, and she has been in a video in a Hindi film. I didn't even mention that song during the whole of the conversation with her. But YouTube has reckoned the song to me. So it just knows. I'm not even surprised by it.
I mean, we should be. But it's happening. But it's happened so many times. You know for sure there.
I
Did
know
you
it. I
receive a
accepted
call from a manufacturer of a chess?
Because
we were talking about
chess sets.
Yeah, chess sets.
That's it.
Right?
And that was a Facebook base. He said that he has got that info from Facebook.
So it was Facebook that was listening to you
that time.
Yeah,
that time. I think and now. I was on a WhatsApp call and YouTube has recommended. So there is even data sharing among them, I think. Or Google just listens to whoever I call. It's not even I'm not surprised by it anymore.
Yeah. All right, coming back and closing the loop on the space-time discussion. One of the reasons why I don't think we are not being that we are being visited by aliens in these spacecrafts and all of those things is because of this whole space-time thing. The thing is, the distances between stars and galaxies is so vast. It's so vast for them to sort of come. Let's say we are a spacefaring civilization. We can go to another planet if we want to, exoplanet if we want. The nearest planet to us is the nearest star to us is I think 4 light years away, which means if you go at the speed of light,
it will take 4 years.
4 years from my perspective, from your perspective, if you go at the speed of light, it would be 0. You would just reach there instantly.
I understand what you're saying.
Right?
Correct.
But
if we are never going to reach.
But let's say you go.
Okay.
You go there and then you come back.
Okay.
8 years would have passed.
Correct.
Are you willing to let go of 8 years
right.
Of your life and just looking at something? Or you basically Earth would have aged 8 more years. All of your friends.
Yes,
I would basically move on to the next generation. You would be stuck in this generation.
Sure.
Right?
Frankly, that's not my concern.
4 years is nothing. What about something? What about 200 light years?
Right.
You would come back, maybe that civilization is not even
totally gone.
So if these are creatures from another, if these are aliens from another planet, how the hell are they managing space-time?
Sure.
Which is one of the most fundamental things about the universe.
Which is what the whole Interstellar and all want to posit that, what is that called?
It's a black hole, right? I mean,
No, what is that?
it's a wormhole.
Wormhole.
Yeah.
Which will help you circumvent this problem.
This exact problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
Yes.
right. So I'm guessing
Yeah.
they'll say wormholes exist. But I don't know anything about whether they do.
Yeah, that's okay. See, that's
Suppose they
something
do.
interesting.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's something interesting. But that's the thing about that Occam's razor. You've heard of that, right?
Right. Simplest explanation is the best.
The one with the
Easiest.
fewest assumption is the
Right.
So now, because you had to explain how they're made,
Correct.
you had to invent wormholes.
Sure.
Right. So another layer of complexity.
Correct.
So the simplest among all of these explanations
Is that they
are not.
I
from-
agree. Okay. Yeah. I can agree.
Yeah.
with
This
you.
is either these pilots making shit up.
right.
Right.
Sure.
Right. Or number two.
Or easier video editing.
Some sort of video editing is to throw people off scent of or
Right.
something. Or it's a perfectly explainable thing, and there is really no such thing. There is a thing called as the Corridor Crew. There is a YouTube channel called Corridor Crew, and I think they have looked into this and they've determined that this is all fake. And what they are seeing is apparent motion only that they are seeing. It's not real. Those things are really not moving.
With
like
editing,
that.
right?
Yeah.
Now it's everything is now. So earlier the what moon landing conspiracy people would give some but then that same photo that they are giving as evidence could be something that would have been photoshopped. So with editing now it's very difficult to believe on any photographic videographic stuff.
They just released the Chandrayaan-2 photos of the surface of the moon.
Oh, nice.
And very clearly they have shown the Apollo 11 landing site and the Apollo 12 landing site.
Okay.
They're still there, man. They're still there after all. 57, 1969. So how long is that?
Yeah, 52 years.
52 years. They're still there, intact. That's what they said, right? That when they landed on the moon, those footsteps would be there for thousands of years,
right?
Because there's no atmosphere to disturb them.
Correct.
Their footsteps, the dust that was unsettled because of the spacecraft.
But there is no dust in space, is it? What about meteorites passing nearby?
No, there are meteorites, but there are no large scale dust like how you see on Earth. Not like bloody pollen.
Nothing to even after 52 years, nothing from some meteorites passing by would.
Meteorites are basically unit things, right? So they'll have to sort of directly hit the. They won't even break up. They will just directly hit the surface. Right?
Don't meteorites have a very long
You're
cloud
talking
of
about
dust?
comets.
Oh, sorry, comets.
Yeah.
Oh,
and unless one of these comets directly passes through the tail of one of these things.
They won't. So it is possible that there is no dust which can even come near moon.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
You live on Earth and you just get used to seeing dust everywhere.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. See, life is actually, life on Earth is purpose built for Earth. Hey, you want to hear an interesting thing I heard?
Sure.
Yeah. So, this will circle back to life on other planets coming and visiting us. So, I read this article a really long time ago. I have tried my level best to find that article once again. But this was an AI thing, okay? So, they had tasked a genetic algorithm, not AI, to have a computer generate 1,000 hertz tone. So, it would just use trial and error to come up with that 1,000 hertz term, and it would write the program to basically generate the 1,000 hertz term.
Okay.
So it had finished, executing, and when they took the program, they would see that it had all of these useless loops and all, like useless while loops and if statements to generate this 1,000 hertz tone. Now the problem was when they executed it on the computer where it was originally created, it would generate the tone. But when they took the program and they executed it on a similar hardware, it would not generate it. And then they found out what these useless loops was just basically just to heat up the coil on the processor, and those would create interferences in other circuits that was causing the 1,000 hertz tone to be raised. So it had succeeded in finishing the task that it was given, where it was generating this 1000 hertz tone on that specific computer, but it simply wouldn't work on another this thing. So it ties back to what you were saying, right? That life is like sort of purpose built onto this planet. If you take us out and if you put us on the moon or the Mars or anything, you will have to take a piece of the Earth back there for you to just survive, right? That makes sense.
Yeah, this is similar to the old man that we met today. Right?
Yeah, very interesting, right? I just love people when they just insert themselves into a conversation. I love that entire interaction that we had. It began with kachori and then it went all the way to astrology. That sort of seeded today's conversation.
And he was also mentioning why I came to him is he was mentioning that you are a product of the soil that you're born in. Yep. So that's a long podcast. That's an interesting podcast. What else do you want to talk
nothing
about?
else, man. I think this is long enough.
It was a good episode. So the James Webb is still 3 months away. Right?
3 months away from,
and maybe we can do another podcast about these kinds of issues when we receive the first photographs from James Webb and interpretation. There'll be some people who will interpret the data for us. And you will interpret that data for the channel viewers. So that is RK, the space expert.
No, I'm not.
Who wanted to? Who should be in NASA or ISRO?
No, man. No, stop saying that. No,
I think he should. But okay.
No,
but he'll do that for us. And till then, watch more of our coding episodes. And we'll do podcasts on other issues as well.
On other issues as well. It was very nice having you. See you next time.
Ciao.